Hey, Average Joe's listeners, guess what? We back. Season 2, Episode 4 is about to kick off here in a minute. I am joined by my co-host, Dale and Tim. I am Josh, of course. In today's episode, we're going to recap the historic weekend at Pocono Raceway, preview this 4th of July weekend race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, another Xfinity Cup doubleheader at that track.
Don't forget IndyCar.
And IndyCar, forgot about that. Yep, thanks for reminding me. And some news and notes around the sports world here at the end. So to kick things off, we had a very historic weekend at Pocono Raceway anyway with the Cup doubleheader, but it turned into a bit of a second historic weekend with the tripleheader on Sunday. Truck race gets rained out, gets moved to Sunday morning at 9:30. Very exciting race if you're into cautions, I guess. It was the opening race of the first ever tripleheader. And I believe this was the first ever scheduled doubleheader, correct? At the same track, 2 races back-to-back like that?
That one I'm not sure of.
I'm pretty sure I heard that this weekend at some point.
Possibly. I mean, I'm sure there's probably been days. Well, I remember there's been times where, the trucks or the Cup ran together, but
right.
I don't necessarily know that the trucks and Xfinity ever ran together on the same day.
I'm just topping from the Cup perspective, back-to-back at the same track in 2 days.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. That was the first ever doubleheader for Cups back-to-back.
Right. So pretty eventful day for Brandon Jones, which started with the truck win. It's his
first one ever.
First victory in trucks, yep. And as I mentioned, it was a pretty caution-filled race, 9 cautions for 60 laps. I actually turned it off after the second or third caution. I just couldn't watch it anymore.
So we're gonna have to talk about this, but let's get through the race recaps first. But
yeah, you guys are gonna have to fill me in about this truck race because I didn't watch it until the end. I was getting a little aggravated with the caution after caution after caution. I mean, yes, cautions breed cautions,
I was just going to say that.
This was pretty insane to start the race off.
It was. I mean, you had your defending champion, Matt Crafton, losing in turn 1. Granted, it wasn't his fault. I forget who it was, but it was one of those lesser drivers like you alluded to last week in your tirade.
Nostradamus.
And, the guy lost it, clipped Crafton, sent him into the wall.
Yeah.
It's funny because that actually happened last year for Stuart Friesen. Same exact scenario. First lap, turn 1, backed her right into the wall.
Right. I mean, I have nothing against the trucks. If you're just getting into trucks, it's not a good way to. I guess if you're a casual racing fan, you love cautions, but I don't know. To me, that wasn't really my cup of tea. I'd rather see good racing, to be honest.
It's a catch-22 there because good racing ends up with people rubbing fenders. And rubbing fenders leads to cautions.
Yeah.
So it's, catch-22. I'd rather see a couple cautions here and there and people actually racing than 18-second leads and running about, am I going to run out of fuel to win this race?
Right.
Which we saw a hell of a lot of at Pocono as well.
Yeah. Well, it might be time to worry about Kyle Busch Motorsports when it comes to trucks, and we kind of talked about this in previous shows. But so Eckes wrecks from the lead. Lessard runs out of talent again. You'll have to explain that one, Dale. And Brandon Jones wins in the 51, a.k.a. the Kyle truck. But I want to focus on that second point. What do you mean by Lessard runs out of talent?
I mean, we've seen it week over week now where Lessard either finishes subpar, like 15th or so in the Kyle Busch truck, or wrecks. For example, this one, there was nobody in front of him. I mean, I guess there was one slower truck. He basically just caught the grass going into turn 3 and literally just tore the front end off of the truck.
And this is the Canadian guy?
Yep. Funny money.
Yeah, what do you
And actually, the funny thing about that is a $2 Canadian coin is called a loonie, and this guy's a little loony.
But he finished 37.
Oh, wrong one. There we go. I got to change those names.
Yeah. So just a quick look into the point standings for the truck series. I don't know anything about this guy, but when I saw his hair, I'm like, that might be my driver. Sheldon Creed in the 2 car. He's not leading his 4th in points, but Austin Hill, Ben Rhodes, Grant Enfinger, Sheldon Creed, Todd Gilliland is your top 5.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned Sheldon Creed. He actually excelled in, I don't know if you guys are familiar at all with the Stadium Super Truck Series. So that's like think of your normal off-road racing trucks. Basically, Robbie Gordon started a league where they're now on normal tracks and road courses. They race over in Australia and everything like that.
Right.
And Sheldon Creed came up through there, and he's a hell of a driver in that. There's jumps and everything. The races are pretty wild. But yeah, he's really good at that. And then he started coming up in the K&N and ARCA and excelled. And finally, this year, we're starting to see him do some decent stuff in the Truck Series. And that 3-wide pass for the lead that he made, fortunately, he couldn't hold on to it, but, you know, still put it out there. And that's that good racing that kind of breeds cautions, Josh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the interesting thing, just looking at the truck standings here, the guy with 2 wins, Grant Enfinger, is actually third in points. He's got Hill and Rhodes ahead of him. So again, it
I'm
goes back.
surprised that Rhodes is up there. I didn't realize that. Hill, he's very consistent, doesn't really win a lot, but
Right. Is there any names we need to be on the lookout for in this truck series that might be coming up through and making some noise?
one that stands out for me that we'll probably see in the future is going to be Christian Eckes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
He's really good. He's excelled in ARCA, and he's working the way up through the trucks, and he's doing it the right way, taking the time, not just getting thrown into the wolves in the higher series.
Now, have we ever seen somebody go right from trucks to cup, or is it usually Xfinity next?
I'm sure it's happened.
Yeah, I was just
I can't
curious
think
if you-
anybody that's
What?
done that.
Some reason I'm thinking Greg Biffle.
It's possible.
I don't remember Biff ever running full time in Xfinity. Bush back then probably, but
As talented as he was, it wouldn't surprise me.
yeah, I'm almost I'm not 100% positive, but
Right.
I'd put it out there. I think Biffle did it.
Well, that'd be interesting to see if anybody actually ever made that leap. It's quite the leap, but you never know. Tim, any thoughts on the truck series races at Pocono?
No, I mean, you guys pretty much covered that one.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to start with you on this next one because in the Xfinity Series, your driver for next season, Chase Briscoe,
My buddy.
brings home the win. Overcame a pit road speeding penalty and a spin to win the race. It's his first Pocono win, but his 6th overall and 4th this year. So seems like your hot driver for next year is off to a great start in 2020.
Yeah, that's what I like to see. Has anything been said about him coming up yet that you know of? I haven't really heard anything about it.
No, there's no talk on that yet.
No,
Do you
but
think
it,
he'll get that ride?
it is a contract year for Clint Boyer, though. We found that out the other day. So,
Which would probably work out best for me.
right.
Well, see, that's where that other name that I have further down our list comes into talk as well.
Me personally, unless Eric Amarola gets a win this year, I think there's 2 open rides at Stewart Haas, to be honest.
Technically, there's 3. Cole Custer's only on a 1-year deal as well,
Really?
which surprised the hell out of me when I read that the other day.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see him going anywhere. I mean, Matt DiBenedetto's notorious for signing 1-year deals, and I think he's back in that 21 next year, too. So,
He somehow pulls it out every time.
yeah.
Well, the reason he's doing that is so, he kind of proves himself and
Right.
doesn't lock himself into one of those cars where if he gets offered something better, he can still go.
Right.
Now that he's basically a Penske car, you might want to think about signing longer-term deals if I were him.
My opinion on that, why he did the 1-year deal, was he knew there was going to be some open rides potentially in the actual
And then he
Penske
might go
stable.
somewhere else.
Right.
Exactly. Set
Nice.
himself up. If he runs good in the 21, Ryan Blaney did it and went right over to Penske
Right.
full
Right.
time.
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't heard much on the Brad Keselowski contract talk either, which is kind of surprising. I mean, he's already got 2 wins this year.
Yeah.
Granted, you could say what you want about them, how he got them. They're still wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
mean, he could. I think they're just going to wait it out a little bit longer. I mean, we still got a lot of racing left,
sure.
so I think I think they're both waiting it out.
Yeah.
Feeling out how the rest of the season's going to go. I mean, that's if I was an owner, that's exactly what I'd do.
And quite honestly, just because we haven't heard that they're talking, they might still be talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So-
This is around the time when these deals usually get done.
Mm-hmm.
If we
Yeah, I mean, we've actually crossed the halfway point now for the regular season. So
Right.
usually right around now is when we start to hear what those talks are next year. But really quick, to circle back to Chase Briscoe with his 4th win this year, he's actually gone out and said he wants to win 8.
8
8.
this
he's
year.
already halfway there.
So he's halfway there. Xfinity has a, little shorter schedule, but honestly, I see him potentially doing it.
So here's your
Yeah.
top 5 in Xfinity points. A lot of talent here. Chase Briscoe's obviously leading with the 4 wins. Gregson second. Chastain third. Cindric and Harrison Burton round out the top 5. A lot of talent in those first 5 drivers.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would assume Cindric's in some kind of cup ride next year full time.
I don't know.
I mean,
on
I'm
the fence
not.
on
I'm
that
not saying
one.
I'm a fan of it. That's my prediction. Now we know Chastain's probably going to get the 42.
Yeah, I don't see that not being the case with that car. I mean,
Right.
it was pretty much a lock we all thought for this year, but
Yeah,
I think they did the smart thing, not just throwing him in there this year and
right.
finishing out, let him get some more experience in Xfinity and a race-winning capable car.
Right.
I mean, as good as a job as Matt Kenseth has done, I think he only has 2 top 10s on the season for all the races they've ran. So, and one of them was that first race at Darlington. So he's not lighting the world on fire. Yeah. So speaking of Brandon Jones, going from hero to zero real quick, within an hour he wins the truck race, and then he goes out and finishes not just in the back but dead last in the Xfinity race.
Didn't even make it one lap.
Right.
Yeah.
Which had a record 9 cautions. So if you like cautions and that's your kind of racing, Sunday was your day to tune in because,
Well, early.
yeah, we'll get to the Kyle Busch wreck here in a minute, but that was another one that I'm sure a lot of people were excited about too. And then Ross the Melon Man Chastain, I believe this is his second straight race winning that cash, isn't it? Didn't he win at Talladega?
He did. Yeah, it was him and Dinger coming
Yeah.
down to the checkered for
So
it.
200 grand he's made over these last 2 weeks. Justin Haley's chances went out the window on lap 2 with a aggressive driving penalty. I didn't really see what happened there. What happened with that one?
Yeah, you know what? It was. I don't necessarily know if it was warranted. So I didn't actually see the video. I did want to watch it, and then I completely forgot about it. But basically what happened from what I read was Riley Herbst and him kind of got into it, and then going down the front straightaway, Haley came down and, like, doored him and basically caused him to spin out or led to him spinning out or something like that. So basically Haley came in to pit. They held him 2 laps, and then him and his crew chief got called to the hauler after the race.
Wow. And that's not a penalty you typically see handed out either, at least in my experience. I don't remember seeing that too often.
No, you really don't, like, during the race. You see it a lot of times afterwards where, someone may get parked for a race or some fine or something like that. But
Right.
I can only think of maybe a handful of times where I've seen it during an actual race.
Now we were at Evergreen on Sunday, and a certain someone that's going to be joining the show next week got told by the control tower to stop dive bombing cars. So we know at our local short tracks that's definitely a thing.
Hey, it's the way you got to make positions, but the short tracks are a lot different than Pocono.
Right.
There's
Yeah, we're talking about what, an 8th mile racetrack, a bull ring.
yeah, versus 2.5 miles going 210 miles an hour into turn 1 probably.
Right. And so, speaking of this large racetrack, of course, the next thing we need to talk about is the weather. Some idiot decided to run these races at 3:30 and 4 o'clock, respectively, with green flags dropping roughly a half hour after those times.
But in all due respect there, that idiot, if he scheduled it earlier, would not have been able to run those races this weekend.
True. On Sunday. I think Saturday was good. Early, right?
No, Saturday. Well, they canceled the truck race because of rain.
Oh,
So
that's
I
true,
mean,
yeah.
there was a little bit of more of a window there because I think they did get the track dry.
Right.
But then I want to say right when they went to go green, didn't they get another delay on Saturday?
I'm not sure about Saturday. I know Sunday there was a second delay.
But they should know at Pocono that there's almost a guarantee at one point in each day there's probably going to be rain.
Yeah, if there's no lights, you can't be starting races at 4 o'clock.
No, you're.
I mean, they're
cutting-
lucky they got that in.
Yeah, you're cutting too close to it getting dark.
Right. Tim, was there anything you wanted to add about the Xfinity series? I know you're on your high horse now because your protege is winning everything.
He's like I said, he's doing well. I mean, he recovered from that. What was that? Speeding penalty on pit lane
And a spin.
And a spin blew
and a spin.
blew right rear and spun out.
What turn was that in?
Was that the,
Not sure.
I was going to say it probably wasn't 2 because if it was, he would have hit the wall.
yeah.
I mean, we were all sitting at the racetrack when this race was going on, so
Yeah.
Right,
that's
yeah.
true. Yeah. But no, I mean, go Chase Briscoe.
Yeah. Yeah, he's off to a
He's
great
doing
start.
pretty well.
As we know, he's probably going to have some growing pains if he does move up to Cup, but nonetheless, he's certainly earning that spot if he does get the 14 or 10 next year.
but he's definitely done it the right way. He spent a couple
Oh,
years in
yeah,
the truck,
absolutely.
Right.
spending like at least 1 or 2 years where he's consistently winning
Right.
in Xfinity, and then moves up, and
Know what team is that he's running for in Xfinity?
Stuart Haas.
Oh, okay. So it
Mhm.
makes sense. It's
Just
like a
to
farm
go right
system.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, they had the 2 cars last year with Custer in one and him in the other, and they just consolidated it down to one.
Might have brought the wrong driver up.
Hey, you never know. Well, Custer did win the championship, so
True. Yeah, Custer not off to the greatest of starts. I mean, you could honestly see Briscoe do the same thing next year, though, if he gets moved up, to be fair.
you can.
Right.
So, all right. So on to the main event, the Cup Series race, doubleheader, Saturday and Sunday. As we mentioned, both races affected by rain, of course. Kevin Harvick gets his first victory at Pocono in the 325-mile race on Saturday.
Drum roll for the results.
Okay, so the average Joe's pick. Fans leading the way with their Kyle Busch selection, 42 points. You can thank Brandon Ultra for that one.
Oh yeah.
I came in second with Ryan Blaney at 40. Tim was third with Martin Truex Jr. at 39. And Dale picked Eric Jones on the wrong day, 2 points.
That was perfect.
I mean, you couldn't go wrong with Eric Jones. His average finish, I believe, was the highest of any Cup driver
Absolutely.
at the time. It may not be now. But
I don't know, that third place on Sunday may have helped that out. It redeemed himself.
right. Now, looking at the replay on that, of course, you're coming out of turn 3, and it's hard to say whether Jones came down or Reddick came up. It sure looked like Reddick made the mistake there, in my opinion.
Yeah, Reddick ran out of talent there.
Ran out of talent.
Definitely took Jones out.
Yeah. That was,
And you guys know I'm big on Reddick, so
Oh yeah.
yeah. And speaking of Reddick, he had a horrible weekend at Pocono, too. I think
Yeah.
both
it's a tough
finishes-
track though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Dale, you and I both did the NASCAR experience up there, and I know what the guys said that the car's pretty much set up perfectly for the track, but we know it's hard to get a car set up perfectly for every single one of those turns.
Well, yeah, you got 3 different turns, modeled after 3 different tracks, as we heard about 6 times on Sunday.
Yeah,
Always,
right.
never fails.
But yeah, it is definitely, as everybody likes to call it, the original Roval.
Yeah.
So
Right, so I'm just looking here real quick. Reddick finished 35th on Sunday. And then on Saturday, he was all the way down in 30th.
cool.
So
That's a rough weekend.
yeah, I'll say. And you did have several cars that ran in the top 10 in both races. That would be Harvick, Hamlin, Eric Almirola, who didn't have a single top 5 at Pocono going into this race, and
So-
Clint Boyer, believe it or not.
So Josh, your opinion there changing a little bit on Eric Almirola this year?
I need a win. If he doesn't get a win, I still think his feet are held to the fire as far as next year goes.
Well, I get that, but I know you were pretty blatant a couple episodes here saying, how the hell is Eric Almirola in the top 10 in points? Where
Mhm.
Well, he proved me wrong because I think this is his 4th straight top 10 finish. So.
yeah, it's pretty much since you started saying that
I
every
know.
week,
Yeah.
he's been up there.
And I don't care. I mean, I like the guy. He wears shady rays, and so do I. So,
Shady race.
but yeah, Brad Keselowski, Clint Boyer, Denny Hamlin, Eric Almirola, and Kevin Harvick were the cars that all finished in the top 10 both races. So,
That's not bad.
and that's one of the problems you're going to run into when you run these double headers and you allow these guys to run the same car both days. You're going to see a lot of the same suspects up there.
Well, yeah, I think after the first race on Saturday, they kind of have the feel for all the fuel mileage
Right.
strategies and everything. So I think, when they run on Sunday, you can kind of almost guess where everybody, the bigger names are going to end up
Right.
throughout the end of the race.
Well, the interesting thing was Kevin Harvick actually said he thought his car was better on Sunday than it was on Saturday, and of
Yeah.
course he had a
was-
race-winning car.
yeah, and he was really good Saturday.
So it begs the question: what did Denny Hamlin do on Saturday night that made him as good as he was?
Right.
But anyway, in that Saturday race, Kevin Harvick takes 2 tires. Almirola took 4, came out 3rd.
Yeah, see, that's what killed Almirola there,
The pit stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you really don't need to take 4 tires at Pocono. It's not hard on tires there at all.
Oh, that's another thing. Like, just the whole setup with this race where it basically mattered about fuel and where
Right.
you were on
Yeah.
the track. There was no excitement really to it.
Yesterday on his podcast, Larry Mack said they had Tyler Reddick on, and he ran his fastest lap of the race 30 laps into a tire run. So that just goes to show you that tires really don't matter at all at Pocono.
Was that before or after he hit the wall, though?
I would assume before. And then, of course, Denny Hamlin finished second. Him and Harvick were pretty much the class of the field all day.
Surprise!
Yeah, you're not kidding. Career best finish of fourth place for Christopher Bell. That's pretty impressive for a rookie. First
was.
race there in a Cup car, anyway. And Michael McDowell finished eighth, which was impressive, but dead last in the second race. So
Ooh, I didn't realize that one for the
Yeah.
second race.
not good there.
Yeah, we were leaving Evergreen when he wrecked on
Right.
Sunday.
Right. Any other thoughts on the first race? I mean, I have to say, honestly, not surprised with Pocono, but it was a pretty boring race.
I think we would have had more fun if we were there.
I don't
Watching on
know.
TV
For
and
sure.
stuff.
You know, we had hot tub and some brews that night.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it was a good time. Don't get me wrong, it was a good time. But I think being in infield probably since Wednesday would
Right.
have had a little bit of a factor in it.
Yeah.
might have
And-
been too hungover by that point, though.
I just wanted to mention real quick, too, we did create an Average Joe's Facebook group. And in case you missed it, on Saturday night, Dale, Tim, and I made our picks for the Sunday race in Dale's hot tub. So take a look at that video if you get a chance.
3 grown men. in a hot tub.
Awesome!
All right, on to race 2, 350 miles. Once again, another weather delay. Surprise, surprise. The big news-
Surprise!
The big news out of the race, of course, is that Denny Hamlin ties the great Jeff Gordon for 6 Pocono wins. It's his 4th win of the season already. But he is not your points leader, surprisingly. Kevin Harvick is still leading the points. So we're going to get to Denny's championship potential here in a minute.
Now, how far is Denny back from Kevin?
Right now, Denny is 75 points back.
Okay, so, you know, his little tiff with Corey LaJoy and everything
Yeah.
like that really didn't affect his point standings.
But here's the
Right.
surprising thing, though. Denny's got 2 guys with just 1 win in front of him. Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott.
Well, Blaney has strings of second places. What does he have, like 3 or 4 second place finishes this year already?
7 top 5s. Denny's got 9 top 5s, though.
It's all about those races when you weren't in the top 5. Though.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't
Stage
heard him
points, too.
talk
You
about
gotta-
Chase in a while
Denny's
either.
got 3 stage wins. Blaney has 1.
Right.
I don't know where these points are coming from, to be honest.
But you don't just have to win the stage.
No,
though.
I know.
I think they're just giving him out.
But Denny's, like, killing them in all these categories, and 10 top 10s to 7. 0
beat
DNFs to 2.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something doesn't add up there. I must be missing something. But
Well, like Tim, you just said Chase, though. He's been basically Mr.
Yeah,
Where has he
dormant.
been the last
He's
had a
you know,
rough
3 or
patch here.
4
Where's he been?
going back to Homestead.
Yeah.
Eric Almirola did slip to 9th, though. So he's slowly coming back to reality there. What do you guys think about Denny tying Jeff with the 6 Pocono wins?
Not surprising. I mean, he
No.
swept there his rookie year, so
Yeah.
it's always been a track that he's been good at. It's that's who you want to put your money on when you see a Pocono race coming up.
He did struggle quite a bit with the repave, but seems he's got a pretty solid grip on it now, though.
Yeah, definitely.
That's we'll get to Toyota's dominance at Pocono here in a minute, but 5 of the last 6 races. All right, so getting into the Joe's performance here in the second race. Fans once again. Another Gibbs car. Denny Hamlin, 41 points. I finished second once again for the second straight day. Kurt Busch with 37. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Tim did with Eric Almirola with 41.
Yeah, it was either 41 or 37.
That's right. And then I finished third or second with Dale, 37 points for me with Kurt Busch, and Dale had Truex with 37. So to close things out, what are your overall thoughts on the doubleheader weekend?
I hope they do it again. I hope they allow fans.
Might see it again at Dover.
Yeah. Ooh, that'd be nice.
Yeah, see, I mean, I love the concept of it. I just think that they need to do something different with Pocono. I know, Josh, you didn't seem like you were a fan of the Xfinity or the Truck Series races due to the amount of cautions. But to me, I would rather see that than come down to all these fuel mileage races where, you have, it was first and second, and then third place was almost 20 seconds off on Sunday.
Yeah, that gets a little
And,
bit boring.
Yeah, like no one wants to watch that. Give
No.
me some action. So I don't know. I know they lowered the amount of miles, so Saturday was 325, Sunday was 350.
I was just going to say, I think 400 miles is perfect for a Pocono race.
Honestly, I personally would want even shorter,
300.
I don't know what what Xfinity was 250, trucks was 150. The truck series, I think they definitely need to extend
Too
that.
short. Yeah.
Yeah.
60 laps is nothing,
Right.
and especially when you have 9 cautions in each of those races.
Yeah.
15 each stage was 15 laps, and then the final was 30.
I mean, you could take a nap at the beginning and wake up and it was over.
Right.
But I don't know, maybe like 300 miles for the Cup race. Something that they have to break it up in a way that it causes people enough of pressure that they have to go from the beginning and not just try to save gas and win this because of fuel mileage. And hey, I pitted and didn't take tires, and Tim, you pitted and you took 4. So heck, you're 10 seconds back from me right now, even though you were a second ahead of me when we
Right.
pitted.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I don't-
it comes down to strategy, though. That's what they're going to do. But,
It's like a manufactured good race because of the
Yeah.
fuel mileage. Like you never
Right.
really see a good finish at Pocono, unless you go back a few years to Blaney and Harvick there. But
But
yeah.
think of the finish of the truck race. I mean, granted, yes, there was a caution that was a green-white checker finish, but you had 3 wide going for the lead
Yeah.
into turn 1. Creed takes the lead, flies down the backstretch. You know, I think it was Ben Rhodes is flying up, passes him, and then ultimately Brandon Jones ended up getting by him and winning it. But
Right.
it was pretty cool racing to see that, you know.
I mean, I even like when I want to say it was Sunday's. No, it might have been Saturday's race where they were battling for 7th, Boyer and Bowman.
coming to the
I
line,
mean, that was probably the most
Yeah.
exciting
Beating
part
and
about
banging.
that.
Yeah.
Banging the doors off each other
Uh-huh.
until
I think that was Boyer just retaliating for the
yeah,
way Bowman
I
came
think
out
he-
of 3.
yeah, I think he initially started
Uh-huh.
it, and Bowman said, "Mm-mm,
Yeah.
I don't think so, kid."
Boyer.
What did I say, Bowman?
Bowman, yeah.
What do you
yeah.
think about?
Boyer's not going to take shit from
Yeah.
anyone.
Yeah,
Although he probably was at his car with a beer afterwards.
yeah, it probably was.
What do you think about maybe taking the Talladega approach and moving the start-finish line closer to turn 1?
I don't necessarily
That's
know.
such a long straightaway at Pocono, though.
Yeah,
Or alternatively, what about like the Phoenix approach? Move
put it
the,
over in turn 2.
Yeah, coming off the tunnel turn or something like.
That'd be
that would
interesting.
be insane.
Yeah, I mean the tunnel.
Can you
turn,
imagine
get-
3 wide going through the tunnel?
Or how about this? Run the tricky triangle backwards.
Ooh,
Hell, let's open
like
up the infield.
legitimately backwards, like in reverse, or have to turn right.
No, right turns. Yeah,
Have to make right turns.
I do like the road course idea, and we'll get to that here in a minute with Indy this week because that's what they're going to do
Yeah,
with Xfinity and Cup. But if a track has a road course, I'm okay with doing road course one day and oval the next.
exactly. The only problem that I foresee with that is
You probably have to have
the
2
infield.
cars.
Well, no, not only that.
infield.
The
Oh, for the
infield.
fans.
So the fans aren't going to be
Right.
allowed into all
True.
those areas.
Well, I
so
wouldn't think that's not necessarily true. I think they'd put. Well, no, they have to put like
Hay
safety
bales.
barriers and
Well,
all
think
that
about
up.
think about where we're at all the time.
True.
There's the curbing and
True.
everything's right there
Right,
because I've tripped
right.
on it a couple times.
And knowing the way we get, we'd be throwing something at some of those drivers as they're coming through.
I remember you heckling Carl Edwards on the bike going through turn
Yeah.
1 that one ran play.
Oh man. Yeah, overall, I mean, we'll get to it here with the next segment, but I think the doubleheaders could work. I mean, you're probably going to see it again, at least at Michigan and Dover. I think.
Yeah,
I think those are 2
Yeah.
tracks that are rumored to have it. So
especially this year. This year's going to be a good test period for these
Right.
kind of things.
we're already a fan of the weekday races. We know we like those,
Sign
Yeah,
me
that
up for
was-
them.
That was fun.
and the All-Star race on a weeknight that should happen regardless every year.
That's Wednesday night, right?
Yeah.
July 15th.
Perfect.
Yeah, it is perfect. All right, so you guys ready to hit the pits?
Yeah, I'm all in. Let's do it.
All right, so our new buy or sell segment is going to be called Hitting the Pits. Basically, if we're going to gas and go, we're going to accept and be all in with this change. If we're going to change 4 tires, we're going to pass. So, Tim, the first topic is, will we ever see a person finish first and last on the same day like Brandon Jones did this weekend at Pocono?
I'm gonna. I think that was a once in a blue moon thing gonna happen.
Right. I think I'm going to be with you on that one. I'm gonna change 4 tires as well. There's just, NASCAR is going to be around probably forever, hopefully, and it may happen again, it may not, but history's on our side, I think.
I mean, if you're doing it backwards, if you're saying going from last one race to first the next race, I mean
Right.
that's a little different, but not first. I mean, not first to last. I mean,
Yeah.
What's so different with that though?
I think because you have something to prove because you finished last, that you have more momentum and more
Here's my
reasoning
thing.
to get in the front.
I put a little asterisk by what I just said because with Brandon Jones, these Cup guys, yeah, they ran the same track 2 days in a row, but they had about 24 hours in between races. This guy had like minutes.
Right.
He got out of the Xfinity car and literally jumped in a truck car. So, truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A truck
Truck
car.
The truck.
You know what I
Truck
mean?
car.
All right, so I'm going to take the opposite approach on this. I'm just going to guess and go because I think we will see it. If we see this trend keep going where, we're going to have these multiple series running on the same day, people are going to do it. I mean, we've seen Timmy Hill. Obviously he's never won anything, but he likes to be in every single race. Ross Chastain likes to be in basically every single race he can.
He's won
And-
quite a few iRaces.
Yeah, definitely. And it doesn't matter if he wins an iRace and then goes and loses on the track. That I'm not counting that. He's got to be in a car on the actual track. And I think if like I said, this trend continues with multiple races on the same day, it's bound to happen again.
I guess I kind of screwed my answer up because I changed 4 tires and then I said I could see it happening. I meant I'm changing 4 tires as in, I guess I'd gas and go on that. I don't know. That's a hard one to pick.
Yeah.
We're still working the kinks
Yeah.
out here,
Yeah, that was a
people.
good one.
All right, so this one's going to be a little easier for me, but Dale, I'll start with you. Now that the Ford has won, is the Toyota dominance over? Because going into this weekend, they won 5 straight, and now with Denny's win, 6 of the last 7.
I am guessing going. I Toyota to me this year. I mean, it's not the Toyota that we've known and seen
Right.
over the past years. So, granted, Denny had a dominant car, probably both days. I would say he could have won either of those races, but everybody's catching up. Chevy's a lot faster. Ford still, outside of Stuart Haas, is pretty terrible for the most part. Well,
Right.
I'm sorry. No, I take that back. Penske. I forget about them. Outside of those two teams, they're pretty terrible.
Right.
So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you'd have to go all the way back to Kurt Busch's win there. After it was the same year Buescher won, so 2016. I believe that was
That
the
was
last.
the rain delay, shortened rain
I think that
delay?
was the last time a Chevy won at Pocono.
Okay.
So 2016. So that's a little concerning with at least Pocono, but you're right, they are faster this year.
Oh, definitely.
Tim, what do you think? Ford, the new Toyota at Pocono, or
I'm gonna have to agree with Dale. I agree with Dale on that one. Only because I'm also a Ford man, so I'd like to. I could see the light at the end of the tunnel turn,
okay?
if you will.
So I am gonna change 4 tires on this one. I am I like to look at trends like Larry Mack, and 6 of the last 7 isn't bad, even though they had 1 Ford win in between there. Harvick, he was due for a Pocono when you saw it coming.
Yeah, for sure.
He's been so fast there the last few years. He probably should have won a couple races. And by the way, he's won everywhere except Kentucky and the Roval now, so he's getting up into Kyle Busch territory with all those racetracks he's won at.
Well, wait a minute here. We're saying 6 of the last 7. Was that prior? Because was Blaney the one that was 6 of the 7, and then now it would be like 7 out of 9? Because Blaney's definitely.
So
wasn't-
Toyota won 5 straight, 5 straight. It goes
Blaney's
back.
win there was that long ago.
Yeah, it goes back to Truex's winning the Furniture Row car.
I didn't think Blaney was.
You know what? That might have been, even if that was 3 years ago in the spring, that's still 5 races.
Yeah, true.
So, yeah, Blaney's been around for a little longer. But yeah, I think Toyota's going to continue to, especially as long as Denny Hamlin's racing. At least for Gibbs, he's going to continue to tear it up at Pocono, and we know how good Truex and Busch are at that track as well.
Wait, Buescher?
No, Kyle Busch.
Oh.
I mean, Chris
Busch
Buescher is good.
R.
though.
Okay, never mind.
Chris Buescher is good. He got a top 10 that first one. All right, so after coming off a career best 4th on Sunday, Christopher Bell backed it up into the wall Saturday finished 4th, backed it into the wall Sunday. Has he turned his season around with recent performances? 4 top 10s. I'm going to say gas and go on this one. I'm all in on Christopher Bell. I think the rookie is finally shaping into form. Earlier, I think we said Tyler Reddick was a shoo-in for Rookie of the Year. I'm not so sure that's the case anymore.
Yeah, Josh, I'm going to have to agree with you on this one. Guessing and going. You guys know my love affair with Tyler Reddick right now since Kyle Larson's not there anymore, but I got to say, Christopher Bell's definitely turning it around, and, can never count him out being in one of those Gibbs cars, actually.
I was just going to say, to be fair, it's basically a satellite Gibbs car he's running, so it's not like he's in crappy equipment, but
absolutely.
it is the 95 car. Well,
I think I'm going to change a couple of tires on this one.
okay.
I think it's a fluke.
You want to see more?
Yeah, I want to see a little bit. I want to see him get a little bit more tires under his belt, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something like that to say, but
So Tim's not ready to ring that bell.
I'm
for
not
Bell.
ready to turn the ignition over. Turn the engine over. Turn the ignition over. Whatever. Make it. But yeah, I'm going to disagree on that one. I'm going to change them tires.
I'm just looking up something here real quick. So, Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell have the same number of top fives this year. One. Just pointing that out.
Oh, okay.
And Tyler Reddick's led 18 more laps than Bell. So
Okay.
they're pretty close. And right now they're separated by roughly, what's that? About 60 points, 63 points
Is that the rookie or is that overall?
overall standings.
All right, and I'm guessing Bell's ahead right now, right?
No, Bell's 25th, Reddick is 18th.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yep. And then Cole Custer's 26. He's easily the most disappointing rookie, I would say.
I can't believe 26th
Yeah.
place in a Stuart Haas car. Like, that's
Right.
crazy.
And you got Reddick up there in 18th and Childress.
You think they brought him up too soon?
No, I
Think
just
he
think
should have stayed down?
it's growing pains. I mean, we know the jump from Xfinity to the Cup is probably more monumental than we think it is.
big
Yeah.
deal.
All right, so after hearing Tony Stewart this weekend come out and say that he would love to hire Kyle Larson, do you think we end up seeing him in a Stewart Haas car next year, Dale?
Oh, guys.
Yeah. Hope don't float.
You know what you want to do here.
Just
I know.
Just hit that.
I'm going to do that gas to go, guys.
Oh.
It might be wishful thinking here on my part, but I just hope we can get past everything. Surprisingly, Bubba has come out and actually backed Kyle Larson and said, hey, he didn't mean it. Let's give him a second chance. So let's hopefully, give him a second chance. And if anywhere it's going to happen, Stuart Haas is the place because Gene Haas basically sponsors half the races in some of those cars.
Right.
So it won't take much to get another sponsor. Larson still has Finley Farms, Plan B. They're still backing them in the sprint cars. So
Right.
there's some money you could bring to the table with those companies.
Absolutely.
Tim, what do you think?
I'm going to have to go and agree with Dale. Number one, it's Tony Stewart.
It is Tony
He's
Stewart.
one of the most loudmouth drivers I've ever watched drive before. And like Dale was saying too, everybody makes a mistake. It is what it is. And I can see him. I don't know if it could be next year. I don't know if it's an open invitation or it would have to be next year.
I mean, I personally think it's probably next year or nothing at this point
Really?
because there's 3 cars open for that.
Well,
for
if
next
it's
year.
do or die next year, then yeah, absolutely, I see him coming over because all that stuff that happened. Kyle Larson is still Kyle Larson,
Right.
and I mean he's dominating wherever else he's going.
Right.
So I mean he's dominating on dirt. I think Tony would be foolish not to bring him back.
You guys do know what his nickname is, right?
Who's that?
Kyle Larson.
What is it?
Young Money.
There we go. I'm going to make it 3 for 3. And I'm going gas and go on this one as well. To me, time heals all wounds. And let's not forget, Tony Stewart ran races in the Cup Series after he killed somebody. So,
That's true. That is
Um,
true.
but picture this scenario real quick. I just thought about this. So let's say Eric Jones is out of the 20 next year. Christopher Bell gets in the 20 ride, and that 95 is open. Let's say Clint Boyer signs another 1-year extension. Is there any scenario where you could see Kyle Larson maybe taking over the 95? Which I could see him winning a race or two, and believe it or not.
It's possible. It's not a Chevy, so I don't see him going to Hendrick or anything like that. So
Right.
you're not going to see him in a Chevy after what happened this year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Chevy
no
cut
doubt.
ties with him, so.
Yeah.
So to me, it's very plausible, but I think Stuart Haas is definitely
I
the
think
one that
that's the
makes
only
the
right.
most sense.
That's the only right. Stewart.
And like we
Yeah.
said, the chips kind of have to fall into place because we already said, we think Briscoe gets a ride, and there's maybe 1, possibly 2 rides open there, so we'll have to see what happens. But we know Boyer's gold in the booth, so
Oh,
it's
yeah.
time for him to hang it up and call some races. All right, last hit in the pit segment here. With Denny Hamlin taking a season-leading 4th victory at Pocono, is this the year he finally gets a title?
I'm gonna have to go with yeah. I think so. I think he's gonna.
Despite his
Finally.
late season choke jobs that he's been notorious for?
Yeah, I think they're gonna work out all the kinks.
Now, Tim, you know Pocono's not on the playoff circuit, right?
Yes, I know that. But I don't even think I can pick him anymore, can I? I think I'm done.
No, Tim, you have one.
Let's
Oh.
turn to page 3 for that.
Turn to page 3. Oh no, I still have it.
Dale's out of Hamlin.
Yeah, I'm the only one that
Ooh.
has used up Hamlin
I
at
got
this
it.
point.
Dale's on the
Yeah.
Gibbs driver train.
No, I think this is gonna be his year. I
Yeah?
think he's definitely gonna do it.
All right, so I'm going to change 4 tires on this one. Once again, history is a good indicator. I think Kevin Harvick is the guy to beat. I think he's showing
The closer.
the closer. I don't know. Denny Hamlin, every year, we talk about this every year, I feel like. Is this the year Denny finally wins? We
Is
talked
he gonna
about
have-
last year.
Is it gonna happen?
And he had problems at Homestead and ruined any chance he had of winning it. So my early season pick right now, as we mentioned, we're more than halfway through. Kevin Harvick's my guy.
Well, I'm all in on this one, so I'll yes and go. I personally think this is the year that Denny gets that monkey off his back.
Right.
Biggest person that we compare him to week over week, Mark Martin. Finally passed him on the win list, so maybe this is his way of getting that one up on him and actually have a championship.
Think about this, though. The playoff finale is where?
Phoenix.
And who's the best driver at Phoenix?
I'm gonna go with
Kevin
Kevin Harvick.
Harvick. I think he wins that race by a lot, and that's going to be the clincher there for the closer.
Well, he's got to make it to Phoenix, too.
That's true. He's got to make it.
He
There.
will. He'll find a way. All right, so that was our Hit in the Pits segment. Good stuff. 5 topics that we either gas and go or change 4 tires on. It's good stuff there. Getting into this weekend's race at the Brickyard. Normally it's the Big Machine Vodka 400, but because of COVID-19, it is the Big Machine Hand Sanitizer 400 at the Brickyard. This is the 27th trip, believe it or not, to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Cup Series. It all started a long time ago with a little known guy named Jeff Gordon who won the inaugural race there.
He sounds familiar. That guy.
And then the first man won the next race there, Dale Earnhardt. But would you rather see the Indy 500 or the Brickyard 400? Which one would be on your bucket list, Tim?
Bucket list? Definitely Indy 500.
Indy?
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think the Brickyard's kind of lost its luster. I thought when it first started, it was a great idea, and you had Gordon and Earnhardt win the first 2 races. I mean, it couldn't have got off to a better start.
Right.
But yeah, I agree. For me, it's Indy.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you guys too. As much as I love NASCAR, I just think seeing the Indy 500 would be awesome.
Yeah.
My parents actually went there one year for it.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, they took the RV and went out for the
Oh,
week.
wow.
and
Yeah.
Yeah, they loved it.
Yeah,
And
There's nothing more nothing cooler. My dad always said than hearing those cars going 220,
Yeah.
230 miles an hour,
Right.
just flying past.
And from a nostalgic standpoint, I mean, there's a lot more history there with the Indy 500. I mean,
without a doubt.
drinking the milk in Victory Lane with the wreath around your neck.
Right.
Of course, kissing the bricks is a good tradition too, but
I wonder what that tastes like.
I just
Burnt
saw.
rubber.
I just saw a picture on Twitter of who was it, Brad Keselowski licking the bricks.
Well, do you think they have to kiss it with a mask on this year?
Oh,
Oh.
maybe they're not allowed to do it this year.
Maybe.
it's not going to be the big spectacle it normally is. I'll tell you that right now.
It'll be Goodyear 19 on their face.
Well, maybe Brad thought it was a window, and he
Right.
was licking the window.
Yeah. I wanted to go back to this real quick. I just thought about this
Yeah.
now that you mentioned Brad. Did you guys think there was any way in hell they were getting that race in on Sunday night with the darkness? I didn't think there was any way they were finishing that.
No, I don't think so.
When
It
they
was a 50-50 for
Yeah.
me.
Well, they said on the radio, I was listening to on the way home, and they were saying, okay, there's 40 laps left. It takes about 53 seconds to do a lap here, and it's 8 o'clock, and it gets dark at 8:40.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's cutting it too close. There's no way this is going caution-free.
Yeah.
And it did.
Yeah.
It was really cool though to see the pictures in Victory Lane,
Yeah.
like with the sunset and everything like
Yeah,
that.
it was
Right. Still an advocate of lights at every racetrack.
That would be nice.
Just saying.
It's a smart thing to do.
All right, so there won't be any fans in attendance once again this weekend, but they did say there will be. That's a bummer. 50% capacity for Indy in, what is it, August?
Yeah, I want to say 24th, something like that is standing out in my mind.
Right. Now, this is IndyCar's first race back, is it not?
No, it's not. It's second, actually.
Oh,
They had a race a few weeks ago, won by Scott Dixon at Texas.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. And there's been some rumors about Cup attendance coming up here. I believe at Bristol they said, 30,000 fans?
Wow.
Oh, yeah?
I
I
think
didn't see
Bristol.
that.
So, yeah.
And
At the All-Star
that's
race.
a pretty closed-in track there, too.
Yeah, I mean, you figure it probably seats over 100,000, right?
So allow 30,000,
Yeah.
split them
About a
up.
third capacity. I mean,
Mm.
you got enough
Right.
There's seats all around that track there.
Right,
So.
right.
Now, my favorite part of this weekend was going to be the fact that Xfinity is going to run the road course, but Tony Stewart backed out of the race, and so I'm not as excited about it as I once was.
Yeah, I would have been.
I'm actually not excited about it at all.
At all. I probably won't even watch it.
I probably won't even watch it.
I'll watch
I
it.
will. I
Yeah,
definitely
I'll
will.
watch it.
Maybe I'll listen to it on the beach.
Oh, there you go.
I'm really bummed that Tony Stewart's not running this race. He was always a great road racer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But the reason he's not running it, basically, is due to the schedule. So there's, I want to say, 6 Xfinity and 6 Cup races scheduled within the month of July.
Right.
And basically, he didn't want his team to have to prepare a car especially for him with all the other stuff that's going on. You got to prepare all those cars for Cup. There's 4 of them. Xfinity, there's 1. But, that extra car for that 1 week kind of takes away from the others.
Right. Now, this will be the first 4th of July race that I can remember that's not Daytona. How do you guys feel about the 4th of July race being at Indy now instead of Daytona? I don't really care for it.
To me, I don't mind it. The only thing I'm not a fan of for the 4th of July race, to me, it should be a night race.
Absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I don't care if it's not at Daytona, but
Because
just
you got to
somewhere
blow
else
off fireworks
lights.
for the winter,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and you won't be able to see them in the daylight.
Right. I mean, I'm the same way. Absolutely. It to me, racing's racing. I don't care where they're racing at.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think it deserves to be a night race. Absolutely.
Well, you couple that with the fact that the cutoff race is Daytona. That's going to be a crap show, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, with restrictor plate racing at this point, it's, like you said, a crapshoot. Anybody could win it, so
Right.
you're going to have those people going balls out trying to get into the chase,
Yeah.
and then you're going to have the ones trying to just hang back and finish to get the points they need to probably point their way in.
To me, there's 2 tracks that come to mind for the perfect 4th of July race, either Bristol or Darlington. I think
Yeah, actually, Bristol was the one that came into mind for me.
Yeah.
Like somewhere down south, like, the heart of America, where
Right.
you have everybody loving the flag and everything like that.
Yeah.
So that just screams 4th of July to me.
Yeah, those, to me, that would be the best place. But IndyCar is going to also run on the road course this Saturday. It's the first ever NASCAR IndyCar doubleheader. So we actually have history being made 2 weeks in a row here with these doubleheader weekends.
Nice.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I know you guys don't really get too big into Indy, but
Is the IndyCar first?
no, IndyCar is second.
Okay.
Yeah, I've just been really starting to get into Indy the last couple of years.
I feel like I have to do this every week, but I'm going to pull up the forecast for Indianapolis this week.
Why do you got to do that?
Well, listen, I did it at Talladega a few weeks ago. It was a 10% chance of rain, and it got rained out. So,
You did it last week and said, "Oh, look, guys, this is going to
Yeah,
be a
it's clear.
weekend where it's not going to rain at all."
okay, Indianapolis for Sunday, 93. I'm sorry, Saturday, 93 and 20% chance of rain.
93. That's going to be a hot one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be hotter in Indianapolis than it will be in Outer Banks.
Here's a trivia question for you guys.
I give up.
Oh God.
So here we go.
I give up.
How many golf holes are in the middle of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
4. Yes.
That was too easy.
Tim's
got a look
full-
of confusion.
Full
on his face.
disclosure, I had no idea.
Yeah, there's golf holes inside the
I had
infield.
zero. Well, why are we here?
Right.
Let's get over there.
Yeah, it is actually a really cool track. Course rather, not track, but it
Yeah.
is a cool track too.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a good stuff. Good.
Well, fun fact.
Yeah.
hopefully I get out there for work one of these days when either the Indy 500 or the Brickyard's going on, and
Right.
usually for the Indy 500 they take a bunch of people and go to like Harb Day and stuff like that. So
And that's usually Memorial Day weekend, right?
it is, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be. I might tune in. I'll be listening to it on the radio, but I might tune in for some of that action.
It's going to be different though. Well, I know I'm getting ahead of myself talking about the Indy 500 here though. It's just that day, wake up in the morning, watch Monaco for
Mhm.
F1. Then actually, well, F1's back this weekend as well. So their first race back is Sunday. I think it's Austria.
Mm.
Yeah.
But yeah, wake up, watch Monaco. Noon, 11 o'clock, Indy comes
Yeah.
on, and then Coke 600 at night, which usually ends up being the worst race of
Snooze
the
Yeah.
day.
fest.
Oh, big snooze fest.
I remember that year. I think it was Truex led like 375 laps. I'm like, this is brutal.
Yeah.
So in the field, we've got some past Brickyard 400 winners. I mentioned the first 2 races ever there with the Cup Series, but Jimmy Johnson's got 4 there. That's surprising.
I did not think that.
No, I don't remember him kissing the bricks once, let alone 4 times.
I can remember a couple.
You were there.
I was there.
Last was in 2012. Kevin Harvick won it last year. He's got 2 wins. Kyle Busch also has 2 wins. His last was in 2016. Ryan Newman, believe it or not, has won in 2013.
Yep.
And Brad Keselowski won it in 2018. Well, let's not forget Casey Kane won a Brickyard 400 too.
That's true.
Yeah, but he's not in the field.
Right. I just remember that one because that one was legitimately dark when they finished that.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the flash bulbs illuminated him kissing the bricks.
that was the farmer's insurance car, I believe.
Yeah, the 5-car. All right, so current standings going into this weekend's race at Indy. I'm leading the way, but not by much. 438 points. Tim's got 436.
Woohoo!
The fans have caught up in a hurry. They're at 412, and Dale's at 393.
Loser.
Now, before I go any further, I just want to point out here that fans, you can only use drivers twice, and you've already used Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin. So once you use those guys once more, you're done with them. Yeah, you're done. Dale cannot use Eric Jones or Denny Hamlin. I'm sure he's happy about the Jones pick.
Pisses me off. Like, one day too early, guys. One day too early.
Tim can't use, well, the list is long, but Jimmy Johnson, Clint Boyer, and Kyle Busch.
Hey, it's not long anymore. You got the same.
Yeah, it's just as long as you.
And I can't use Kevin Harvick, Ryan Blaney, or Kurt Busch.
And I think Dale brought up a funny point that none of us have used up the same driver.
Right. Which is going to make it interesting because one of us will be right and 2 of us will be wrong.
Right. Or wrong.
Yeah, so fans just use those picks.
Wisely.
Now, here's
Wisely.
the other thing, though, with the fans, too. Remember, so we're all going to announce our picks tonight.
Right.
And so when I put that list up for the poll, those 3 drivers that we pick are not going to be available
Right,
for
they're
the
off
fans.
the board. And, I mean, eventually that's going to come back to haunt them, but, we gave them 300 points to start. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It
They're
took
lucky.
3 races to beat me, so.
in 3 races, they're already past Dale. All right, so going back to last week, we actually, on the fly, inverted the picking order for the Pocono race. I stole Tim's pick with Kurt Busch, but it worked out in his favor.
Yes, it did.
Well, actually, we tied, right?
Yeah. I believe so.
We both got 37, I
And
believe.
37 of,
And then Dale and the fans got 41.
yeah.
No.
Oh,
Tim,
I'm
you
sorry.
got 41.
That's right. Me and Dale tied. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So it actually worked out for you.
He's
You got
dead.
4 more points than if you chose Kurt. But so Dale, bringing up the rear, gets to pick first this week. Dale, who you got winning the? Well, first of all, I want to clarify that these are not race winners we're picking.
Yeah.
These are guys that we're trying to make wise usage with.
Yeah, we don't have unlimited picks on,
Right.
on races.
If we had unlimited picks, we would have picked every race right so far.
Absolutely. So, I am going to go out on a limb here.
Please don't steal my driver.
It's probably going to be who you're going to pick. So, my driver has a long career in Cup.
I got a little scared when
yeah,
that was happening.
I was very nervous. Getting ready for,
That-
for
that
the
was
censor
a-
button.
That was a pause, a calculated pause. Average finish at Indy of 9.7. And surprisingly, his Worst finish since 2012 has been 12th there, even though he didn't race last year.
Oh.
So I am going to go with the pilot of the number 42 car,
Oh.
Matt Kenseth. You know, Kyle Larson's always been fast at Indy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Matt Kenseth, I mean, honestly, he's 13th, 5th, 14th, 4th, 7th and 15th, 2nd and 16th, 5th and 17th, and 12th and 18th. So, you know, he seems to have that track record.
Yeah.
You know, that's the first time any one of us has used Kenseth since he's been back.
Yeah.
It is.
That's true.
I mean, Kansas,
Kansas.
as Darrell Waltrip used to say.
Matt Kansas.
That's a good pick. I like that. This is the kind of track where you want a veteran driver. You don't want to be picking Reddick or Christopher Bell this weekend, I don't think.
Or do you?
Or do you?
Uh-oh.
So next up would be Tim, right?
I believe.
Yeah, you're second.
I believe so.
Normally it'd be the fans, but they could have whatever's left over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they don't need any help here anymore.
Yeah, we'll
They're not
give 'em all
getting
the help
pied
they need.
regardless, so.
Right.
Although we should do that. We should get one of our fans on. And you know what? That brings up an interesting
Tommy
thing.
Rudensky.
So what we should do is if, you know, they end up beating any of us, we'll randomly pick one of the people that's voted the most, and they're the one that gets the pious.
I like it.
That's a good idea. I like that a lot.
Or a dunk tank.
But
We
yeah,
can't
a
shave
dunk.
Josh's head.
A dunk tank. I
No, you
like
can't
that.
shave my head. There's no hair left to shave,
Yeah. Who knows if it won't come
except the sides.
back? Yeah. What about an eyebrow?
Can't wax my eyebrows either.
You said anything about waxing?
I'll do a mana lantern.
Oh.
A what?
A mana lantern.
What the hell's a man?
You never heard of a mana lantern? You never
No.
saw 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Maybe like once.
So basically somebody would wax the hair on my chest or back in the shape of something.
Oh, isn't that when he was yelling Kelly Clarkson
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something?
Ah, Kelly Clarkson.
But I get to pick the shape, and I choose a jack-o'-lantern.
There you
I thought you were going to get like a Star Wars Mandalorian on you or something.
go.
Uh,
But I'm gonna go with Josh's reason about picking a veteran for this one.
Yeah.
Not the best veteran there is to pick because I picked a lot of them already. But I'm gonna go with Joey Logano.
oh,
I
that came
don't-
out of left field.
Yep, I haven't used
That's
him.
kind of crazy to think of him as a veteran.
It really is.
Who, you mean sliced bread?
Yeah, sliced bread.
Sliced bread.
I'm torn between two drivers here. Boy,
What?
this is tough.
Do, do, do,
I had a gut
do.
feeling, and I think I'm going to change my mind.
Oh boy.
I am going to pick Clint Boyer.
Ooh.
Nice.
I don't know. I just feel like this is his year to finally kiss the bricks. My
That'd be
first
nice.
pick was going to be Matt DiBenedetto.
Matty
Matty
D.
I just have a feeling about him this week, but I'm going to go with Clint. So
It's good. It's a good
that's
pick.
the first time I used him, I believe.
Yeah, it is a good pick.
All right, so just to review, Dale took Matt Kenseth.
With the kiss.
Kansas.
Kansas.
Tim took Joey Logano, and I'm taking Clint Boyer. So fans, yeah,
It's all
quite
on
the population to pick from there. None of us really stole a ringer,
No.
so you could pick Kyle Busch or Kevin Harvick if
Yeah,
you want. But keep
Then
in
again,
mind,
you can't. You can only use
if
them
you
twice.
use Kyle, you're done.
Mm-hmm. And it is when it's the first driver picked twice.
Right.
Who hasn't been picked before.
Well,
just
not
so they-
twice. It's whoever gets the most votes on the poll.
Unless there's a tie.
Well, yeah.
If there's a tie,
I think
it's
that's
whoever
what you
gets
meant, is
picked
if there was a tie.
yeah, if there's
Yeah.
a tie.
Interesting. So yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out. This is going to be a interesting race.
It's gonna be a good one.
All right. So, any other things to add for NASCAR before we move on to some random sport topics here, quick?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything, man.
All right. So, some news that came out right before. I decided to stop over Timmy's house here.
Ooh.
Was that the NFL announced that they're going to reduce the preseason to 2 games. And this is something that, honestly, I've been an advocate for years now. I think the preseason is way too long. But they're obviously doing this in the midst of the pandemic, and, you know, the Hall of Fame game was already canceled. So this is just, in my opinion, their way of prolonging the season starting.
Right. I think they're just keeping everybody safe. And
Right.
honestly, I think going only 2 is safer injury-wise, too. Because a lot of
Exactly,
people
like-
get hurt.
Yeah, you mentioned the keeping people safe. Obviously, playing 4 games. Granted, yes, the starters usually don't play. They
Right.
play like what? I think the 3rd preseason game historically they've played,
Mhm.
and then maybe a quarter here and there in
here
the
and there,
others.
Player 2.
The third one's usually the dress rehearsal where starters play into the second half sometimes.
Right.
But yeah, I think this is just like we talked about with NASCAR. It's a good season to try the trials.
Yep.
With the Wednesday night races and whatnot,
Mhm.
this is a good test for the 2 preseason games. I personally don't think football's going to start on time, to be honest. But
If at all.
I'll be very surprised if we see 52 people on a field. Well, 52 people on each sidelines, and
Right.
that many people touching each other.
Yeah,
And stuff.
I'll be surprised if there is actually football this year.
yeah,
To be
that's
honest.
not a good. That's not a bad point.
Interesting thing. Like, I wonder if they'll make them wear all gloves and face masks. Like, so visors, obviously. I'll
Yeah.
bet you that gets mandated that you have to wear a visor on your
Yeah.
helmet.
I did see a concept of a COVID football helmet. It was mostly like a hockey goalie.
Okay.
It was
Oh,
like enclosed totally.
Yeah.
Huh.
I just don't know.
Yeah,
I think
it's-
there's too many obstacles to be.
Well, look at these leagues that
Getting
are
through.
trying to get started. We're going to talk about golf here in a minute, but people are testing positive left and right.
I mean, yeah, it's everywhere.
I don't know. The NFL released a statement yesterday where they said expect training camps to start on time, but I mean that's still 3 weeks away.
Well, they shut
Right.
down group workouts, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Baseball teams are shutting down left and right. Some other big NFL news that came out, of course. I'm going to pat myself on the back for this one. I called this months ago, but finally, Cam Newton has a home. He signs with, of course, the New England Patriots, league minimum salary, tons of incentives. What do you guys think the over/under is, and how many games Cam starts for the Pats this year?
Well, do you have what the incentives were by chance or no?
I do not have them in front of me.
No, we'll talk
I
about
can look
later.
it up.
No, that's all right.
A lot of them
I
were
was just
like
curious.
It probably involves games started
yardage,
and
touchdowns,
Oh, okay.
games. If
Bonus-
they,
bonuses
make it
and all
further in the playoffs, he gets more money.
Got it.
playoff wins. Yeah,
MVP's probably in there for something. But I don't know. It's kind of crazy though to think that a former MVP winner is signing basically a league minimum contract when you have like career backups, like let's say someone like Chase Daniel who's making 11 or 13 million, whatever it was. I read somewhere around that, which is crazy. And you have Cam making peanuts. Well,
Right.
not peanuts, but to them it's peanuts.
But would you take a pay cut to get the chance to work for Bill Belichick?
I would take the league minimum to go and play on the Patriots. Only thing though is, does Cam's style fit a Patriots offense?
I don't think so at all. But I think there had to been some sort of a conversation between him and Bill and Kraft that said, "Listen,
Yeah.
this is our football team. You're a part of this team. You play the way we want you to play."
Now, you know what's interesting about that too is you say you play the way that we want you to play. Patriots has always been one of those teams where they have that look to them, the players and everything like that are well dressed and everything. So, what about Cam Newton's press conference attire?
Oh yeah.
Do you think we'll
Jesus.
see him showing up looking like ET or anything like that this year?
I think you can't stop unless there's a contract signed of what's a yes and a no to wear. I
Well-
think he still wears his stuff.
I mean, you're a Yankees guy. They can't have any facial hair
No-
or
no
anything
facial
like
hair or
that.
anything
So
like that. But I don't know if that. I don't know
I'm
if
pretty
that
sure that
is
in
it
the
is it a
contract with
contracted
them.
thing? I know it's always been said, no facial hair, suit and tie.
are we talking about Pats or the Yankees?
Well, Pats, he
Oh.
brought up.
Well, the
Well,
Patriots.
Julian Edelman has a beard.
Oh,
Well, no. So
but
I was talking with the Yankees there, but just saying the
Oh.
Patriots always have that look to them. Like they're not very outlandish. Let's put it that way.
Right.
And is Cam going to come in and have
the big hat and big sunglasses and
taking the spotlight off the team and putting it on himself?
right.
Patriots aren't like that.
No.
So the thing I saw the other day was the New England Patriots are the first team in NFL history to move on from one former NFL MVP and acquire another in Tom Brady and Cam Newton
Really?
at quarterback. Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be a competition for sure because Cam Newton's only 31 years old, but he's got a lot of mileage on him.
He does.
He got beat up pretty good in Carolina. He was in a car accident, pretty bad one a few years back.
Honestly, he's never been himself since that car accident.
No. I mean, he was always a bruiser. He never liked to run out of bounds. He was, kind of like Dak Prescott, but bigger.
And better.
Not going to go that far.
MVP.
But you have to ask yourself, if you're a New England fan, you want Jared Stidham starting week 1 or Cam Newton? And if I had to set the over-under at 8 starts for Cam this year, I think I might go with the over on that one.
Well, it depends. Are we hypothetically saying there is going to be a season?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess at this point you have to hypothetical.
If
everything.
I factor in injuries, I'm kind of hesitant with that, but I'm comfortable saying Cam will start eight or more games. He's already working out with Mohamed Sanu already. So
Yeah, I saw that. I'm going to take a different spin on it. I'm going to say Cam Newton starts more than
Andy
and-
Dalton.
No, not Andy Dalton. Why can't I think of the Eagles quarterback right now? It's
Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz. Thank you. Yes, Cam Newton will
Nice.
have more
I like it.
starts this year than Carson Wentz. That's
yeah.
my approach on
I
it.
like it. It's a good pick. This is to me, it's a steal for the Patriots. I mean, you're getting a guy for a league minimum deal. I'm assuming starts are involved in these incentives that he's got to hit. So it's really a win-win. I don't see why he wouldn't do that. I
Gives
mean,
him good opportunity to prove himself and set himself
Right.
up for next year as well.
Right. The Patriots don't always like to pay guys, so they have a ton of cap space, so that's not going to affect it really at all. So,
Now, interesting thing though, Josh, with that you said about Stidham.
right.
Would you rather start Cam or him? But think back a few years ago. Well, not a few years ago, a long time ago now, where nobody knew who Tom Brady was. So,
Yeah.
Patriots, have that knack of finding that guy and
Right.
making him
If
huge.
Drew Bledsoe doesn't go down with that hit against the Jets in 2001, maybe
Yeah.
nobody knows who Tom Brady is.
I mean, a receiver-wise, think of Wes Welker too.
Yeah.
No, he was nothing until he was with the Patriots.
That's going to be the most interesting thing to me about the Patriots this year is how do these guys like Julian Edelman, who shined under Tom Brady for many years, how do they do with a lesser quarterback? Because I kind of think Tom Brady made them what they were, not the other way around, to be honest.
I mean, they're professionals, so I think adapt and overcome. I think they'll find a way. They're being paid to play a professional sport. I think they'll figure it out.
I'll tell you what debate we are going to be able to settle this year is Tom Brady, Bill Belichick.
Yeah,
Is it the
Absolutely.
coach or the player?
yeah.
Now,
That's
here's the one big difference that you're going to see too with the Patriots is, I think Brady was putting the ball where it needed to be.
Right.
Cam is not a very accurate quarterback. He is erratic,
He's like a
especially
glorified
lately.
Jameis Winston.
Yeah, especially lately.
Yeah. I agree. And, I mean, other than Julian Edelman, what weapons do the Patriots even really have? There's no more Gronk. There's no, I guess, James White, but it's slim pickings on that offense right now.
Well, Sanu's always been pretty
He's
underrated.
decent.
And then what was his name? The guy from the Jaguars, Marquise Lee, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's up there now too. So
And if they may still own the rights to, Josh Gordon went to the Seahawks at the end of the year, right?
Yep.
Okay. So apparently today is Bobby Bonilla Day. So happy Bobby Bonilla Day to all your Mets fans out there.
Awesome!
I have a feeling Dale thinks this is one of the best contracts ever, but
I love it.
Every July 1st, Bobby Bonilla gets $1 million from the Mets. I mean, how could you not?
Until 2035.
Yeah, he's got 15 years left, and it's actually today I saw it was 1.19 million.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I saw that.
And
Come on.
he probably last played an inning of baseball, 15 years ago, at least, if not
yeah.
longer.
Yeah.
and
So-
I think didn't he sign this contract like around the end of his career?
I believe so.
And it was kind of like, hey, we're going to give you this to kind of get out of here.
Yeah.
So you're talking 1.19 million for X amount of years.
Right.
I'll take that all day. You live off the interest on that. You're
Oh,
getting probably
absolutely.
$70,000 a year, just with your $1 million sitting in a bank.
Hey, him and Barry Bonds played together in Pittsburgh for quite a few years, so
That was
Nice. That was before my
pre-steroids.
time of
Yeah.
actually following baseball.
pre-steroids.
that was back when the Pirates were actually relevant sometimes.
Sometimes.
So supposedly Spring Training 2.0 is going to start July 3rd, which is 2 days from now. Players are getting sent home left and right because testing positive for COVID. So of course that sets everything back 2 weeks. I know the Phillies
Definitely.
had a ton of positive tests last week.
It's the most hits they had in a while.
Yeah.
Oh God! Daily temperature checks anything over 100.4, they're going to be sent home. I mean, at this point, here we are, 4th of July weekend. Do we really think there's going to be a baseball
Well,
season?
before we get into that, though, daily temperature checks, and then every other day they're going to do a corona test on them,
Oh,
from what I
geez.
read. So, I mean, you're talking, where are they going to get all these tests from?
Right.
I mean, granted, we're in America, they're a lot more readily available than
Right.
other countries.
Rite
but-
Aid.
What's that?
Yeah.
Rite
Rite
Aid
Aid.
has them.
Yeah, Rite Aid, yeah. You're going to see all the players standing outside of Rite Aid in their uniforms, and
Yeah.
next thing you know, CVS will be trying to get contracts with. Maybe they'll all have little patches on their jerseys to say what pharmacy they got the test from.
I was
There you go.
tested. I was tested.
Did you guys see the E60 on Roy Halladay?
No.
I did not. The bloody sock, though. Was that? I'm sure.
You're
that-
talking about Kurt Schilling.
Kurt Schilling.
Yeah.
That was.
you
that
can
was
tell
back in
I'm not. I'm horrible on this
2003
baseball
or
stuff.
something. 2001 or
Yeah,
something. That was.
no, but they said he was. I think he was both drunk and high when his plane crashed.
That's right.
Oh
yeah.
wow. Yeah, I didn't hear that.
So that came out about him. But yeah, as far as baseball goes, I don't really. At some point here in the next few weeks, it's not even going to be worth it
Well,
to try to get a season in.
Minors, the minor league's already canceled.
Right.
Yeah.
They're done.
So
And
you
I
have a
mean-
couple players go down. Where are you getting your roster from?
Well, I mean, obviously, without them having a season, they'll be able to
Well-
call those people up. But
yeah.
still,
But
Yeah,
I
what
mean-
kind of shape are they going to be in?
Who's that?
The minor league players that got laid off.
I mean, that would be hard to tell, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just don't think you're going to have too much to pick from.
no, it'll definitely because then what player's going to say, you know what, I'm going to stay out of this year. You know, I want to stay safe and all that. So
Right.
we're already seeing that. You know, a couple
Right.
Nationals players, some Diamondback players.
Right.
They've all said, "Hey, we're bowing out for this."
Yeah. There was another baseball league, not in America, I don't think it was, Japanese or something. They canceled their season today as well.
Mm.
So,
Was it the Korean one? Because
Maybe.
they're already playing.
Oh, are
so
they?
did they cancel it mid-season or
Somebody
just before it?
canceled their season. I forget which league it was, but I remember seeing that earlier today.
but I mean, even with the majors, you know, with this, I'll call it a
Mexico.
consolidated
Oh, okay.
Mexico baseball.
season, the 60-game season.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about any type of record that's possibly broken this year?
Well, what could be broken with
I don't-
162?
Yeah.
Batting average,
Well, yeah.
Yeah, batting average.
Batting average will
one.
be a lot easier to hit higher.
that's
Um,
about it.
win
That's all.
percentage,
ERA maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else you need a full season to kind of break.
Yeah.
But honestly, if you're going to play in less than 60 games, I would say screw it. Don't even bother playing.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you're already talking 102 games less than you normally play. At this point, it's I don't know, like any championship you win. I think it's going to be
It's going to be tainted.
40,
Oh yeah.
40 interleague games and 20, or no, 40 in your division and then 20 outside.
Right.
Now, what do they say about the playoff format? Is that going to be the same?
I think it's expanded.
Yeah, it's extended. I think 4 more teams are involved in playoffs
Okay.
this year.
The only thing I would change about the current baseball playoff format is I think that first opening series should be more than just one game. I think it should be a 3-game series.
I would agree with that because
Yeah.
the Pirates got screwed and kicked out of that game a couple times.
Yeah, I think that play-in game. I like that the first round's 5 games, but I think that play-in round should be 3. So you got to win 2 to move
Yeah,
on.
a 3-game series would be good for that.
Yeah, it shortens it up.
Right. I mean, baseball season goes forever anyway. You start in March and you're not done till November. Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I mean, think about it, 162 games. There's no double headers scheduled on the schedule.
No.
So, a year's 365 days. So that's essentially half a year.
Right.
A little less, but.
Yep.
And that's if you're playing every day.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
rain delays and all that, and which they're all going to be down south most of these games anyways.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the thing with baseball is, I forgot what I was going to say now.
It's better than football.
Anyhow, I'm not going to go that far. Final thoughts here. NBA, obviously Dale's guy Giannis has stated that whoever wins this title should not have an asterisk Again, this is assuming that they actually play.
Yeah.
But, of course, basketball's doing the bubble thing down there in Orlando. You have a lot of teams invited that really have no place being there.
Well, I mean, they still had some of the regular season left at that
Right.
point, so
Yeah, they
it's
were-
kind of weird that they're excluding teams. Honestly,
Yeah. Oh, that's what I wanted to say is I usually don't even start watching baseball till like right around now anyway.
Really?
I mean, the first 60 games are like,
I'm there from first pitch opening day.
yeah, opening day is a big deal, but after that I'm kind of taking my foot off the gas.
so wait a minute, are we talking baseball or basketball?
I just went back to what I forgot.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like the title should have an asterisk, honestly. I mean, we stopped in March. Usually the NBA regular season goes till, what, late May, early June at least?
Yeah, about that. So you guys are just saying that because, I'm a Bucks fan, and finally the Bucks are relevant.
They
I
won't
don't care
lose
who
more
wins
than
it as
60
long
games.
as it's not the Lakers.
I don't care who wins it as long as it's the Milwaukee Bucks.
I'd be okay with the Bucks. It's been a while. I have to go
For
back to the
sure.
Lou Alcindor days for championships there.
Yeah, that's way before my time. I think,
That was before he was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
yeah. It's funny you say that because I just almost said go back to the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, so I didn't even realize he was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
And then the last thing here on the list is, these golf tournaments here. I think I saw the other day 19 PGA players tested positive for COVID. I mean, this is just the day and age we live in now. This is what we're going to be dealing with if you're going to get. Luckily with NASCAR, we haven't heard much, but of course it's easy to social distance in a race car.
Yeah, it's definitely
It
slow.
is. I
Well,
mean,
I mean,
I'm
we did have
surprised we
some-
haven't. I think I did read there was a few crew members, but they weren't ones that actually went on the road
Right.
that tested positive.
Stewart
so-
Haas and Penske, I think, had a
Yeah.
couple. But yeah, you're right. They weren't actual crew members or drivers or any of that. And of course, I don't know how the Zeke information got out a few weeks ago, but basically, we shouldn't even know who tests positive unless they say it themselves.
Right.
Due to HIPAA laws. But
That's the thing
That's-
about being a celebrity, though.
right. Anything else you guys want to add before we sign off here?
No, I think we covered. I mean, we hit all the topics, but you want to bring up next
so.
week?
Yeah.
You got your vacation coming
Yeah,
up.
I'm going on vacation. I'll be in the Outer Banks starting on Saturday.
Social distancing, of course.
Social distancing, yes. But you guys definitely want to tune in next week when we're going to have two special guests, not one, but two special guests on the show. You're going to want to tune in, see who that ends up being. They're from the racing community. That's all I'm going to say,
Yeah, that'll definitely be a fun one.
for sure.
Have them on.
So that's going to do it for Season 2, Episode 4 of the Average Joe's podcast, the Ken Griffey Jr. episode, if you will. Make sure you guys tune in next week. And fans, get those picks in on Facebook.
Don't pick a winner.
Don't pick Kyle Busch. Take care.
See you later.